Hey everyone, it's Kai from WCC, and today we'll be looking at the ideal ban list for both Premium and Standard. Ban list is coming up in a couple of days, next Tuesday, so keep an eye out for that. Although I don't have any info on what's going to get hit, this is just what I think is the correct things to get hit. So we'll start off with Premium. Premium's pretty juicy, spicy format right now. The first thing that we're going to hit is Gold Paladin. So I've cited a choice restriction between Spear X, Blonde Ezel, and Wonder Ezel. So it just means that Ezel itself gets slowed down a lot. You don't get your extra Excel circles if you pick Blonde Ezel. You also don't get your superior strides. So deck is kind of, you get your superior right up, but you don't get anything else other than that. And if you choose something like Wonder Ezel, you have to just only work with your Ravens and Platinas, or maybe just old Blonde Ezel, if you really want to go that far back. And then Spear X means that if you're not playing Ezel, you at least still have this nice superior stride option. But if you run Ezel, then you don't get it. That's pretty much it. I have another choice, is that you can restrict Wonder Ezel to 1, and then you have a choice restriction between Ezel and Spear X. Kind of the same idea, except just Wonder Ezel is just that 1 for everything, and then you choose if you want a superior ride or superior stride. I think this slows down Gold Paladin enough that in the future support, they still have their nice stride. They don't have to play Ezel anymore, and it's at least slows down the format enough that everything else can compete with it. It still has its GB8 Besok, but going into like double Ultima is pretty tough now with with all these restrictions. Moving on, there's still more bans for Premium. Got Katrina banned. First Stride Katrina is very, very strong. It's a big kill turn. It kind of shuts down a lot of decks. And another thing is that it's really tough to design something for Neo Nectar that replaces this stride or makes something else competitive, right? So talking about design space, Katrina really limits that because it's just so strong. With Premium Collection 2 coming out, they want to give something to Neos, they have to make something better than Katrina. And something better than Katrina is already, it sounds bad. It sounds really bad. So hitting Katrina is the only way that I can think of it. Just banning it. If you restrict it to 1, they can still kill you with 1 stride anyway. So it's not like it's not great. So Katrina to 0 is where it's at. Neo is getting more support, so it's just definitely gonna. I think it has a good chance to stay competitive. And with the, well, I mean, it's like next stuff is like G set, right? Ashes. So maybe it'll work well with old Asha strides. I don't know. We'll see. And Premium Collection 2 is coming out. The other one that we are banning is Gastile. Now, banning Gastile, we can't really hit it to 1. It's just it's there in all those OTK decks, and doesn't make the format really fun to play. Other thing is that it also limits design space in that it copies effects. It copies 2 effects. You have to keep this card in mind when you design cards in the future, right? If they want to print a really good card, they have to ask themselves, does this work with anything else that will make it absolutely broken? The other thing is that the 3K with Gastile really pushes it over the top. You get soul charges, you get targeted a choice of effects, and you get soul charges from those effects, and then suddenly everything hits massive, and it's just making a very degenerate kind of playstyle that Dark Irregulars, although in the past has always been a pretty degenerate playstyle in G format Premium. Now it's, do we want to continue that? I don't know. So the only way I can think of like limiting this is banning it, and that kind of limits the big 3 in the current format. And then lastly is that we have a choice restriction on Trois and Riviere. Now this one I'm a bit not too sure of, but it's kind of like if you ban the top 3, this is like the next thing that will probably be really good or better than everything else. So we hit this slightly, so you just can't superior right up if you're playing new Riviere. And if you want to play old Riviere, sure, you still have that option, but maybe this nerfs Bermuda enough that it's maybe more in line. I don't know. We'll have to see in the future. And maybe work on this idea a bit more. Moving on to Standard, one thing I've gotten restricted is a choice between Caro and Riviere. Now, Riviere didn't really perform well at WGP last week, and a lot of people then say, yeah, that's because Riviere's not that good, or I played my friend and I just beat his Riviere all the time. I think Riviere's actually one deck in Standard that requires you to think a bit more than others, because you actually need to think about how you want to sculpt your next turn or your like entire game plan just bricks. You just become a deck that has a lot of force, like Genesis, except without Valkyrion. So you're just a really big hitting, boring deck that doesn't do anything. So having to sculpt your hand ahead of time kind of raises the skill level of this deck a bit higher. Sure, you have your high roll YOLO kills, but when you don't get those kills, you need to be slightly better in order to win games. And I think that's where a lot of times more weaker players don't really get to perform. They're just relying on the high roll to win. And then when they have to think, they're not thinking that hard. So this deck does require more thought, and in the hands of a good player, they can sculpt their hand, and this deck probably gives them the best chance to win continuously. So hitting it with Caro and Riviere kind of just limits this deck a bit more, makes it more in line with everyone else. And Bermuda does have a lot more options to use as well. They have a big set. They've got Pacifica, they've got Coral, they've got Highlander, a lot of stuff. So they still have a lot of options available, and it shouldn't be that much of a bad hit at all. The other thing I'm thinking of hitting is the Super Acrocanto and Anger Blader, just a choice of stick. You can play one or the other. Anger Blader is very strong in that it one-shots opponents because they're also able to make good grade 2 turns with Sweeper. So just playing Sweeper down on turn 2, this card just pushes damage by itself. If you're able to make 3 front lines, your opponent just goes to 2 or 3 and they're just automatically dead if you went first. So now if you want to play Anger, you can't run Sweeper. That's your best grade 2. You have other cards that you can play. You still got your Raw Bios that can make stuff fat. You still have your Savage Trooper, but that is targetable. So it's at least a bit more manageable. Meanwhile, if you want to run Sweeper, then you can run other grade 3s, but then your multi-attacks and your equip generation is weaker. So this will maybe, hopefully, put it line. At least when you play this sort of kind of deck, you do get this big grade 2 that can't be dealt with very easily. So I think it's not very fun format where if Anger Blader always goes first, they'll just destroy you. So this is definitely why I'm hitting that those 2 cards. Now, how can Bushiroad screw up the ban list? So this is actually a big possibility. If you think of the Western format for Premium, at least, I think Western Premium is stronger than the Japanese Premium format, or at least the Japanese metagame. We have a lot of things figured out, and that they probably haven't. But when we look at the Japanese, like WGP results, for example, we did have a big Gold Paladin showing, but then we didn't have anything else that was shown, and eventually Dark Irregulars won. So what could that mean? So a bad situation can occur if you ban or limit Gold Paladin, or just touch Gold Paladin and try to push it down, but then don't hit anything else. So then Neos remain untouched, DIs remain untouched, and I think that is a big possibility simply because the Japanese metagame that they're looking at is extremely diverse, unless they have data that we don't know, but it looks, from the results that we know, it looks like it's everywhere. Everything's done something, and the only thing that's really standing out is Gold Paladin. So if they just hit the Gold Paladin nail away and not touch anything, we have a really strange format where DI remains untouched and Neo remains untouched, and is that good? I don't know. We'll have to see, but I don't think it's that good. But then the other thing they could really screw up is if they touch Standard too much. Standard is kind of this format where new cards come out and then old cards become useless. I guess Murakumo, like the Phantasmal sets, they've been around for a while, but it's not like they're that still widely played in a way. I mean, you've got Murakumo still, you have Pale Moon, but you have other competitive options too. You've got Bermuda, you've got Na Urukami, you've got Aquaforce, you have Shadows, you have Tachikaze. So it's not like that set is really dominating anymore. It's just, you've got a nice, diverse metagame with just some decks that are really standing out, in that Anger Blader can just one-shot people and it feels bad, and then Riviera, I guess the same thing too. So there's not really that many things to hit in Standard, so if they touch Standard too much, I think they're going to have problems. They're releasing like the Gig, they're releasing the Try 3 set next, so that's also probably going to add more diversity too. I mean, actually, they're releasing like the Angel Feather and Geek Chronicle, so that definitely shows a lot of potential too. People have been playing around with it and going, wow, these cards are pretty fun. So I think they should really let the meta settle a bit more first, especially with that quick shield coming out, I guess, and orders. So don't touch. I think touching standard is a big misplay, and not touching premium is always a misplay. I think it's fine that premium gets those big patches where everything gets banned. I think that's kind of good because premium is a pretty eternal format, and things stay overpowered for quite a long time, and just kind of wiping everything also can make players think a bit harder. So that's it from me. If you guys have any other ideas on the ban list, let me know in the comments. As for prizes for our poetry competition, prizes got delayed, so you got a few more days. Let's say you've got until next. I guess you got until after the ban list to submit more entries. So go check out that video, and we'll hopefully you might be able to win something. You're probably gonna win a mat. Okay, I don't know which mat, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, that's it from me. See you in the next video. Probably gonna be a gold Paladin mirror video for WGP, and bye.